Hello, good morning, good evening, Assalamu alaikum. I hope all of you are well. Let's first of all very quickly see if you can hear me and see me, and then we'll begin with introductions. So, if you can hear me loud and clear, and if you can see my video as well, please type yes in the questions box. If you just see my lips moving and you don't know what I'm saying, just type no. I think that should be easy. Yes, 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 yes. All right, all right, all right. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. That should be enough. All right. So, welcome all of you to Six Digits Season 3. We are very, very excited to run this third session, third season of Six Digits with all of you. There was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of, questioning going to and fro. When is it going to begin? Am I in it or not? Etc. Etc. A lot of that happening, and we very apologetic because it took us longer than normal to run this program. We had started preparing for it back in July, and today is the end of November. So that's the time that we took in making sure that all the things are in place, and we would be able to run a very efficient system for you. What happened in between also was very, very important. So our previous six digits programs were based on ACCA's competency framework. And I'm sure Sajid is going to explain it to you further. But this time around, on 29th of September, ACCA rolled out the Career Navigator. Now, those of you who have attended the orientation session, they would have understood what Career Navigator is. It's a very, very important, very vital tool for you to explain to you the route of your development, of your professional development going ahead. And an excellent tool that all of you must use. But the difference between prior to 29 September and after 29 September is that our six digits program is now fully in line with ACCA Career Navigator rather than the previous competency framework. So that's the development, that's the progress that we have made. We will, this is going to be a very, very interactive session. It's not just going to be me and Sajid talking. It will have to be a lot of questions, a lot of discussions, debates, etc., etc. And therefore you should be able to take part in it. If you're not taking part, and by the way, uh, I'll explain it to you how, but we get to see the contribution each and every participant makes. So at the end of each session, we do get a report on, all the comments that were made, all the questions that were asked, what was the interest level of all the participants, were they paying attention or were they looking at other things, and the presentation was going on in the background. So all that we get to know about. However, you're all members, you're all very senior professionals, and you've all shown your determination to progress in your professional life, and we're going to help you through this program by doing that. So please be very, very interactive. If you're just quiet, if you're not taking interest, taking part, you may get to hear all that we are saying. You may get to understand 10 or 20% of it, but when you go to your desk, you'll only be able to implement very little of what has been taught to you. However, if you're taking active part, if you're taking active interest, we will make sure that you have enough takeaways from each of these sessions so that when you're going back to your desk the next day, the next month, the next year, you should be able to feel the improvement in your passion, improvement in your mindset, improvement in your dedication to work. Not to say that it's not already there, but you will see a marked improvement in the way within which you think. So with this little introduction, I'm just going to introduce the environment to you, particularly for those individuals who haven't used GoToWebinar in the past, or who haven't been able to, who haven't seen the previous sessions that we've run on six digits. So if you see on your screens, there is a special floating menu that appears on your screens now with an orange, can be easily identified with that orange arrow pointing inwards or outwards on your screen. So please note this is the GoToWebinar menu. And in the GoToWebinar menu, there is a chat box and there is a questions dialog box. All of you, mostly those who have just responded to my first question about whether you're able to hear me or not, they wrote their comments in the questions box. So that is the question. I mean, that is the uh, the platform or the box or the dialogue where we're going to do all that interaction. What I'm going to do now is make that questions dialog box on my screen visible to all of you. So can you tell me if you can see my questions dialog box? So if you type in your comment, it should appear. If you can see my questions dialog box, uh, say no. All right, saying no. Let me check once again. Include GoToWebinar during screen sharing. Okay, that's because I'm not sharing my screen. So if okay, just give me a second. Just give me a second. If I am able to share my screen with you, you should be able to. Okay, now you should be able to see the questions dialog box in front of my video. There you go. So now you can see your comments up on the screen as well. So, all right. So my purpose of telling you was, all right, I'll make it bigger. Don't worry. If it is not readable, I'll make it bigger. You don't need to see me all the time, but yeah, here we go. Give me another second, another attempt. Right here. Okay, this should be a little better. No, I'm not on my phone, Sayyid Asif. I'm on my laptop. Anyways, so this is where you're going to see the comments that other people are also making. Okay, so this is going to be important. Our time to start is going to be 6 o'clock. Fortunately, this is the time of the year when we'll probably not have to break for prayers. Otherwise, we spend about 10 minutes in taking a prayer break. So we run continuously for your evening prayers or late evening prayers. If you can all, take time out after the session has ended. Yes, you can, Afagul, yes, you can make comments on what other people are saying. Please refer to their names. I mean, as in mention their name in your comment and then make a comment. That's how you're going to do it. Keep your comments positive. Criticism, I would not say critique. Yes, you can differ with people if you like, and you can make appropriate comments. So, all right. Here we go. This should be slightly better. Okay. All right. So people who are on their mobile phones, they will probably face a bit of an issue in using the complete functionality of this portal. Please try and use a laptop if possible, and a very good internet connection. Otherwise, you're going to face problems throughout. You're going to face problems in watching us. You're going to face problems in listening to us also. So and other than that, the other features that we're going to use of the software, you're going to face issues in making full use of it. Okay, I'm going to roll up the questions dialog box now because now it's time to invite Sajid Aslam, who's going to come in and lead you through today's session. So Sajid, if you're there, if you're listening to us, can we have you on the screen? Here we go.
Thank you, Harith. Thank you. Thank you. And very good evening, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. 6 digit normally is our focus. Let me share with you. Normally, our success criteria is that in the first 10 hours, everybody should be crying and going back and seeing that why they have wasted their life and how we take it forward. And it was not the challenge in terms of the expertise and capabilities. The biggest challenge which we will create for you is the current mindset versus the mindset which may be required. for you. So I think the uh, biggest area which you will have a self awareness is around what exactly you want to do in your life. And when we are talking about you want to do in your life, we are not talking about how you're going to earn money only, but what exactly you want to do with your life. uh, what are those big goals you want to achieve, and that could be, we are totally fine if you come back and say you want to buy a Ferrari at X age, or you want to build a large house at Y age, or you want to create something which deliver a strong public value. So it could be anything which you want, and we will be picking up on that, how other people have done it in past, and how within this group there are a lot of people might have a similar aspiration, and what are their plans. So it's all about you and your aspirations, and our role is significantly is to help you to make sure you get to those aspirations, how the people in past have achieved those, and how you can achieve the similar thing. Does it make sense? Yes, no, you can put in a question box. And you can also set, like, you can guide us as well at any point of time. It's not a very fixed program. The program will evolve the way you want it to evolve. We can set the key goals and we can help you, assist you. That's what we will be trying to do in a 6 digit. Just to give you a background, I think Harun gave you that background earlier as well. The 6 digit, the word started with a concept of 6 digit income level. So if we pick up the income level, so that's mean in any currency it starts from 100,000 and goes up to 99999. So 6 digits doesn't mean the 100,000. It can go at any level, and it can be annual one. It can be, depending on the currency, it could be monthly one. So that's the whole idea where we started with that concept. Why we started that concept, why we can't let it be with a participant, they can do whatever they want. We realize there are a lot of people who may not have a, yeah, so Ghulam Farid said both financial and non-financial value. Yes, definitely. That's a we in some of the program we even figure out that some people really want a spiritual side of it. So there are groups who have a different aspiration. So yep, we will try to do our best to really achieve or at least guide you on those. Uh, there are a lot of people and from very young member as well as in some cases students who are progressing towards their membership, their aspiration versus what the market is willing to really pay them, there was a difference. The employer were willing to pay them way higher than what the students in that case we picked up from Pakistan initially, the students what they are demanding, and the members what they are looking for, and we were trying to figure out why there is a gap. So that gap is sometimes it's a knowledge gap, it's sometimes it's how you really value your own skill set. That was another area. There's a big concept that how you can put a value on your own expertise. That question will keep coming back because the journal formula, it's a very generalized term which I'm going to use. If you create a value somewhere around 100 for your client or employer, so you will get a certain percentage that may varies anywhere between 2.5 to 4%, which you get as a return as an income. So the concept of value and the compensation, it's an important one. And a lot of people come back and say, I'm working in an internal audit, how I can really put a value to my work and go back and negotiate with the employer, or I am providing an advisory service, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to put a value that the value I'm delivering for a client versus the invoicing I'm doing or the fee I'm charging to that one. So I think these are the key questions which we will try to solve here. But there is a structure to all that madness which we are trying to do. It has to be a very, very crazy session. Otherwise, it's not going to really create value for you. Uh, and the first starting point for me is that your introduction. If I give you 30 seconds and you're entering in a room where all the big investors and the clients and the employers and their heads, all the decision makers are sitting there. So how you are going to introduce yourself, you get an opportunity to introduce yourself to somebody you really aspire to work with or work for, let's say Microsoft or Google, and their CEO is sitting there, and you got an opportunity. and you have a 30-second to introduce yourself. So I'll give you 5 minutes, and let's try to use that question tab and type what would be your introduction in 30 seconds. And just before you start, the introduction means that it should tease a person enough that they would like to ask more questions and get to know you. It's not that what's your name and what you do. What is that interesting thing you will put in your introduction, and you have got 30 seconds to inspire somebody. So how you will trigger that conversation and interest. So 30 seconds and your introduction, that will reflect that what brand you are carrying. So very specific what you want to come up. So your time starts now. We have 5 minutes, and we would like people to really type what is their introduction. If you've got 30 seconds with some very influential people you really want to work with or work for, and you go and you introduce yourself. Sidra Nas said, how participant will introduce themselves. We will come to that. So you can see the question tab, and I hope that it's visible to you. And if you will type here your introduction, a lot of people will get to know. But definitely there is a small group setting, there's a group activity, and you will get to know each other better. So one of our objectives is to create those networks. So Ali Irfan said, greeting, hello, focus on technical skill. Musa, we have to really type that, how you will introduce that. My name is this and what you do. An ACCA member, auditor, enthusiastic, and young consulting professional. So Zara Aziz put a one introduction. So an ACCA member, auditor, enthusiastic, and the young consulting professional. Great. We have to talk about our strength. No, you have to really put the introduction, not that what the introduction should look like. You have to really type your introduction, Fahad say. CA Habib, if I can see that, it says, I have a vision to use AI and robotics data analytics to change the way Microsoft look at the world. If the Microsoft is the one of a target company, I have these skills. Great. My name is Ali Irfan Tar. Yeah, that's how we should be starting. So we put our name. So I'm a fellow member of ACCA with over 10-year experience, including more than 6 years of managerial experience. I'm Sidra, an ACCA member with learning eagerness or ego. I'm Ghulam Fareed, ACCA member. I'm working as finance manager on hand experience with ERP oriented environment. My name is Zulfikar, an ACCA member. Okay, Mohammed Kamran Khalid, it's more than 30 seconds where you put the SAP FICO. I hope you people can see each other introduction as well.
See, the questions dialog box is visible to everyone. But if you want, we can do some audio introductions as well.
We
We
will
prepared
do
for
that. After 5 minutes, we will invite
sure.
people and we will request them to raise hand, and we will request them. So I think at least 5 people we will try to really use that one. Okay, keep coming, guys. It's important. Keep bringing it up. We have 5 minutes. Anas Adil Siddiq, he said he or she is unable to hear us. If you can put Arun, if you can let him or her know if they can reconnect that.
Sure, I will.
Okay, keep bringing it. My name is Mana. Oh, I just missed that one. Okay, let me open it again. Guys, if you can see Usama Khopkar introduction, so I will invite you to look at that. Usama's intro. I think there are a couple of people who are picking up on the area. Right, there are two type of introduction. I go and I tell what is my name and what I do. Right, that's a one kind of introduction, and we leave it uh, to the person or a recipient that they can figure out how I can add value for them. Right, so there's a one introduction. I can come and I can tell my name is Sajid Aslam and I'm head of ACCA Pakistan, and I'm a professional accountant with maybe 25 years of experience. The immediate question would be, so what? Why I should be interested, right? So if I introduce myself, it's maybe profile and all that, and I tell what I do and what is my name, how it gonna really trigger the interest. Or if I change my introduction, my name is Sajid Aslam, I'm a professional accountant. I help organization to grow at an exponential level, right? So now this introduction versus my introduction earlier, it has got a difference. In the first introduction, I was talking about what is my profile. And in my second introduction, where I was talking about my name is Sajid Aslam, I'm a professional accountant, I help organization to grow exponentially. Now I'm talking about the value which I can deliver, rather than telling them what is my history of 25 years. So don't leave it to the recipient that how they perceive your experience or your introduction. You have to really trigger an interest, and that interest can be what they would like to see as a value or what value you can deliver there. So there's a difference between the introduction. So your name is important, who you are is important. The second question would be like if I give somebody my introduction that my name is Sajid Aslam, I'm a professional accountant, and I help organization to grow exponentially. Right? The next question the recipient might have, what experience you have, where you have done that, give us some evidence. And that's where my experience then comes into play. If I just tell them that this is something, the number of organization I have worked, and this is my qualification, and this is the number of years I have worked, that might not create the interest to ask the second question. It's very difficult for people to really come back and say, okay, you have worked for 12 years as an internal audit and risk compliance. What value you have added? That's not the normal question you get. But if you start with that this is my name, this is my qualification, and this is the value I add for organization, that might trigger a question that how and what is this, how you will substantiate that, where you have worked in past. So just giving out the list of the skill set or the number of years or the name of the organization, which may be a very big brand, that's not the introduction. The introduction is that what value you can add to any organization. Don't get me wrong, all the things which you are talking about is still uh, referring that value, but it's not articulating it in a way which tease the other person to ask further questions. Right, so now let's try again. So now I'll ask you the question. Now you have to still go for that 30-second introduction, but you have to clearly articulate what value you will deliver. And you have to be very clear what value you want that person to understand you can deliver, and it's your choice. So let's redo that exercise. So all the people who have really submitted their responses, I really thank them, and I think it's the first bold step to really get engaged. But now let's redo this one with the concept that you have to introduce yourself, your name and qualification, and the third sentence or the third thing which you should be talking about in a very quick and articulated way is what value you generate, how we can quantify the value addition of instance working in an internal control. Rashid Ali, we will come to that. That's a very common question because most of the time, and that's a very interesting phenomena, accountants by themselves, like you are professionally qualified to quantify the value, right? So sometimes we are unable to quantify the value of the work which we are delivering. So that's an interesting dynamic, and we will keep talking about it. That's the most interesting part here. So now let's try to redo. We are in an exercise mode, so we will learn that during this session. What is the right kind of introduction we should be bringing up? Now let's pick up from Saida Asif. I think, sorry, that's this is Mahanur, an ACCA by profession. And if you are having trouble in improving and revising your SOP in any particular roles, you can contact me. Now, this is the type of, we can improve the articulation, but now if you see there's three components: the name, the qualification, and the value which we can deliver, right? So that's a right structure. We might need to uh, re-articulate the value maybe in a different way, because if you are sitting in a room, and that's not because it's wrong, it's just that if you are sitting with the CEOs and the board members in a room where you need to introduce yourself, SOPs are not the primary concern for them, right? So that's what we call the emotional intelligence. We will talk about that emotional intelligence. But if you are sitting in a room with somebody who is in charge for internal control, definitely this SOP thing is a very valuable one. So you have to really see the recipient whom you are talking to, the recipient of the information. That's what we call the emotional intelligence. But definitely from a structure perspective, it's perfect, Manu. So let's pick up now let's look at Hasib Azam Maiman. I'm Hasib Azam Maiman, currently working at Manager Quality Control at X company. I bring value addition of engaging quality or enhancing quality of audit. I'm ACCA member. So let's go back, Hasib. If we structure it, I'm Hasib Azam, ACCA member, and I help to enhance the quality of audit, right, or the value of audit. So that's something you can re-articulate it. The organization name may be irrelevant as in a 30-second, unless until that's a very strong global name which you want to bring. In your case, that's maybe very, very relevant, but depend who is your audience. But yes, there's a word value already there. And let's look at Mohammed Tayyib. My name is Mohammed Tayyib. I'm an ACC member. We are preparing Qatar to hold FIFA World Cup. Great. So it's a good reference point. The next interesting question would be how you are preparing Qatar, and what value you as an individual delivering there, right? So Tayyib, that's one of our key questions. So just changing your introduction from the list to value, I think that will start creating an interesting conversation. So let's look at Zahid. I'm Zahid, professional accountant, ACCO, strive to grow business by ensuring revenue assurance and optimize cost and creating rolling forecast. Very specific, great introduction, and that might generate interesting questions or a conversation from there. So let's pick up Hussein Hadi. I'm Hussein Hadi. I'm ACCA member, a business continuity professional. Great. I ensure the business continuity in case of any disruption. If you need any guidance, please let me know. So yeah, there's a call to action in that introduction, which is great. So definitely there's a certain value. So guys, thank you very much for contributing here. And let's pick up another one. Guys, apologies for if I'm not pronouncing the name. I have to really go very quickly. My name is Dinuki Janadasa. I'm ACCA member with 5 years of experience. Over those years, I have built exceptional skill in building people and continuously improving processes. So I think that's a great value you are talking about. So thank you for that. So I think these are the interesting examples when we are introducing ourselves. And over the period, while we are building that introduction, uh, we will come to that. There's a certain like corroboration which is required, and we have to substantiate that through the different alternate means as well. Shabazz server, yeah, I can see that a little bit long introduction is. If you have 30-second, I think it would be very difficult for people to retain all that information. In a 30-second, you can come up with that. What is the best value you can deliver? If you will give somebody a list of qualification, it would be difficult for them to really retain one. So if I look at your qualification, so there's a lot of qualifications which are linked with the professional accounting, uh, fraud as well, and I think there's a data analytics as well. So you are professionally qualified accountant with the compliance and the data analyst and analytical expertise, and you have already talked about what you have done, but you haven't picked up on what value you can deliver. So Shebas server, that's one feedback for you. So it's a long list of qualification. In today's world, people are not very impressed with multiple degrees. They are more talking about the value you can bring to the table. Right. So Harun, if we can at least, if people can raise hand and we can unmute a couple of people, like let's talk about 5 and see how they would like to introduce and take. You are totally free to choose your language, whether it's English or Urdu or your local language. That's totally fine. So let's uh, start with a voice as well, so we can get more people here. So you can raise your hand. You know how to raise your hand
Yes,
in the
Sajid, we
attendees.
had Lubna Arsheen. Yeah, look, in it's a raise hand feature in the attendee list. So if all of you can go there and raise your hand. We had Lubna Arsheen's hand raised, so we can go with her first.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yes, Lubna, if you can unmute yourself now and speak. Lubna Arsheen, your mic has been unmuted. You can unmute yourself from your end and speak. I guess Lubna is not available. We can switch to Ghulam Farid. All right. Ghulam Farid, you are able to talk now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. And I'm Ghulam Farid, ACCA member, and I have 5 year of experience in different manufacturing organizations and helping them to achieve financial excellence by successful implementation of different ERPs. And then based of these ERPs, I really help them to get right and accurate financial analytics, which help them, the top management, for making wise decisions in order to achieve the long strategic goals and the different cost cuttings and the structuring of different departments, and especially related to the finance.
Great. Thank you, William, for it. I think if we go with the structure side of it, so you have got your name right, you got your qualification right, then you added certain experiences, and then you came to the value. But this thing, if you convert that and just and there's no right and wrong thing. It's depend that who is your audience. So if I rephrase it, so I'm Ghulam Farid, I'm ACCA member. I work on the technology to help organization to make decisions and the cost optimizations. Right. So now this one is a very brief and something which can stick. The longer we go, the more we talk, we start losing the audience. So that's a fundamental thing for the communication. You have to be very precise, crisp, and use the terminology which can really help other person to understand the value proposition you are putting to the table, not the experience, and not what you have done in past, but what you have learned and how you can redeploy it as a value. So great introduction. We might have to work out a little bit in terms of how we can make it more precise, quick one. So thank you,
Oh,
Ghulam, and Ghulam, thank
thank
you very much for. I think it's always take courage to really raise hand and come. But where you are from? Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Ghulam?
Right now I'm in Erbil, Kurdistan. It's in Iraq.
Mashallah. Mashallah. Great, great. But thank you for participating.
Welcome,
Really,
sir.
really
It's always great to have interaction with you and Harun, sir.
thank you, Ghulam. Harun, if we can unmute somebody else, thank you, Ghulam.
Yeah.
Let's try Huma Akbar. Huma Akbar has raised her hand as well. Ghulam Farid, if you can put yourself back on mute. I have unmuted Huma Akbar. Huma, please unmute from your end and speak. Yes.
Hi, my name is Huma Akbar. I'm FCCA. I act as a translator between technical and non-technical people, enabling them to complete their projects efficiently.
Great, great. And thank you, Huma, for that. Thank you very much for sharing. Just one thing, again, it's more to talk about where you are and which room you are. A lot of people may not be able to,
Actually, yeah,
sorry.
because I'm at a different stage. A lot of people will be working in accounting firms. I have a gap of 10 years in my career, and after that, I'm working in a technology consulting firm as a BDO, business development executive. So
No,
that's
it's
a
totally perfect. I think
yeah.
that's the area we are seeing more and more new members coming and joining as a one of a profession. And you will see in a career navigator, there's a digital is a one of not only the capability but also the expertise as well. So you will see digital a duplication on sustainability and digital
Yeah,
and
I have
capability
seen
side of
while
right. Great.
working with a recent company where I'm working, they are just collaborating with management consulting firms
Yeah,
to
they do.
happen.
They do.
So that's where we fit somewhere. Thank you,
That
sir.
great. Uh, a lot of time depend whom you are talking to. People may not be able to really understand what FCCA mean. Again, if you sit with Bill Gates and you say I'm FCCA, they will not be able to make it out. So you have to really read the room, and the professional accounting may be a more relevant one, which is more generalized title in terms of the qualification. But definitely, if you are in a group of professional accounting, you can use FCCA. But if you are working with the people who may not have understanding of the further qualification within the professional accounting, then we use the professional accounting as a primary word and FCCA as a secondary word. Or you can use alternate. I'm FCCA, a professional accountant. And then the role which you are doing, normally it's generalized as a business analyst, the role which you are
Yeah.
saying, the technical and the non-technical people. And I think that's a very recognized value which anybody can see, and it's very rare, by the way. I'm working with 10 different organizations who are looking for a business analyst, and they are unable to get one. They get a lot of people who may claim that, but it's not an easy skill to translate something from a non-technical to technical and make sure that people can really get it right. So it's a great skill and a great value you can put to the table. So thank you very much, Rama, for sharing.
Thank you, sir.
Ji Harun,
Okay,
if you
let
can
me
have
move on
three
to
more.
Arif ul Islam. I think Arif is from Bangladesh. So let me unmute Arif.
Yeah, I
Go
think that
ahead.
would be also interesting if you can mention that which country you are from. So that will help other people to understand the spectrum.
Hi, Sajid. Thanks for the opportunity. This is Arif. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a professional accountant from the UK and from Canada. So I
Great.
have been working. Yeah, I have been working for the past 10 years in mainly financial reporting and in the financial planning sector. So over the last 10 years, I have provided professional insights and a lot of business partnering to various organizations. And I think I have helped the management very well in their decision making, and especially in a lot of change management projects.
Great, Arif. Thank you very much for sharing. I think it's a great introduction and it's a great value you are talking about. Uh, uh, and I think it's quite well articulated. We might need to really change a little bit in terms of order. So your name, your qualification, and the value, and then you talk about that you have worked for X years with the organization. So that's the evidence, or that's how you substantiate why you feel you can add value. But I think the value, the way you have articulated in terms of the insight and the financial planning and the partnership or collaboration, I think those are the great value which everybody is looking forward. They would like to have more people either as a service provider or as an employee there. So I think that's a great skill set, Arif. I think you have really done well in terms of acquiring it. So thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Harun.
Okay, Masood Naeem next. Masood, I'm going to unmute you. Now you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, my name is Masood Naeem. I am a FCCA and also done my postgraduate diploma from University of Wales, and currently having experience of almost 8+ years working in Fortune 500 companies and Big Four, and I have got expertise in tax consultancy, financial analysis, and I can bring great value in suggesting tax reforms, dealing with your tax compliances, tax litigations, and also can add value if giving opportunity in the dealing with the budget preparation and financial accounting matters.
Thank you very much. I think it's a if I pick up on the skill set, it's a very specialized area where you work on a taxation or a tax professional and the financial planning at the same side. So the financial insight and the tax professional, that goes very well when it comes to uh, the value which you can deliver. Just to share one thing, I was in early my career, I was working with Nestle. We were at Switzerland for a training and very early stage of my career, and we have got one of a trainer, or not the trainer, it's a financial expert, and they said, you know how Nestle make their decision that in which country they have to really invest, and it's a three-letter word. And we were very young and we were trying to figure out it's such a big decision, so how come it's a three-letter word? And finally they came back: taxation, tax. That's the key criteria based on which they make a decision in which country they need to invest and how they should structure one. So I think that's a great value once you look at the global taxation, not only a country specific, but the taxation as a one of a tool for planning and the investment decision. Just pursue the one small thing you might need to practice a little bit, and you might need to. It's the best way is to write. You write it couple of times, and you stand in front of the mirror and that introduction. So that helps you to improve your articulation. These introduction require practice. You can't leave it that when you will get in a situation you will bring it out. You really work hard to create that articulation which really bring out your name, your key qualification, the value, and anything which can help you to substantiate why you are confident to deliver that value. And then everything should be delivered in a very quick way in a 30 second. And it can't be like you are really rushing and talking very fast. You have to give a person time to really absorb that one. So great value. You refer a great value there. I think it's a good introduction. It's a good expertise. Just a little bit practice will help you to articulate it better, right? So I think these are the exercises which we normally don't do, and we just go unprepared most of the time to the meeting, and we don't really practice that. What introduction I would like to bring. Harun, if we can bring, but thank you, Masood, for sharing. If we can bring Sidra Naz, and if we can unmute Sidra.
Sure. Yes, Sidra, you're unmuted. Sidra, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself and speak. I think Sidra,
Hi,
yes.
I'm Sidra. Hopefully you hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you, Sidra.
A little feeble though.
Okay. I'm Sidra. I'm working in an organization and I'm a CCA member, and my quality is, I can say my value is, I create a department from scratch in an organization and make it essential for the organization by cost cutting and the adding the financial factor with administration factor. I think it's my quality for an organization.
Great, thank you, Sidra. So I think the value, the key word which is coming out of from that is the cost cutting.
Yeah,
Right, the
cost
cost
cutting.
cutting.
And the thing is, mixing the financials with administration thing.
Yeah, good. So I think if you look at there is a one accountant who normally will say that when you look at the cost and you look at the cost cutting side of it, there is another way
Yeah.
which is called the value optimization. Right, that's mean you don't cut the cost, you use the same cost but you deliver a higher value. So sometimes in an introduction, rather than talking about the cost cutting, because cost cutting does not account for the value you might be destroying. Where if you look at the accountant, they are very much concerned with the value versus cost. So I think the term which we normally use is the value optimization or cost optimization rather than the cutting side of it, because the cutting sometimes reflect that we are not looking at the value side. But I think the one value which you brought out is a very strong, which you can stress more, and you have to really articulate it well, is to developing an organization or a department from scratch. That's not the skill which everybody has. Starting something from scratch and leading it to the level where it become essential for the organization, I think that's a one skill which may be linked with the people management, team building, or value driven. So I think those are the areas which are very strong. So if I were you, I'll stress on that, and I'll use the word cost optimization there. But I think it's both from a value perspective, both those areas are very, very strong in terms of how we should be introducing, and let the other person be maybe more curious to find out how you do it, right? So that's the value in introduction. So guys, I think in the interest of time, we are not going to go more, and we will take a stop here from introduction. Just to summarize it, from an introduction perspective, your interest, Sidra, thank you very much for sharing. So from an introduction perspective, it's your brand, how you unwrap yourself and you introduce yourself as a brand, what your real brand is. The brand is always about the value you bring to the table. It's not the list of item which you have done in past. It's not the name of the organization. Sometimes, yes, if the organizational brand is very, very strong, you want to highlight it. But most of the time, it's what value as an individual you can deliver is your brand. So if you want to talk about Sidra or Masood or Homa, that what value we bring to the table, that's your brand you will be carrying, and then there will be a certain evidence that how that brand is going to be delivered. So it's an important element. Your introduction is your first introduction towards what brand you are carrying. So from a brand perspective, there's something called, everybody has to write their copy. So you see the brand interaction or a branded content, somebody has to write the copy. And why they have to write a copy? So the message is articulated well and it's delivered in a way which can help other person to understand you better. So that's why this introductions require a little bit practice. It's require a little bit articulation in whatever language you are doing it. So you just have to go and write and just make sure you are comfortable with how you are introducing yourself. And the value is the key word. It's not the list of organization, it's not the number of year, it's your name, your qualification, the value you deliver. And then the fourth item is that where you can talk about your experience and the companies you have worked with. But try to keep it as precise you can deliver it in the 30 seconds. So don't create a list which goes beyond that. People will lose their interest. Their attention span is very, very small. So just make sure you deliver your introduction within the attention span. And there could be a follow-up conversation and you can go in more details. So don't try to give out all the details. Create it in an interesting way. The person should be able to come back and ask for more. If they're asking more, that's mean you managed to really create that connection. It's not going to happen in every introduction. So let's say if you do 10 introductions, there will be 2 people who will come back and they will ask for more questions. So don't have a very, very high expectation, but do understand when you introduce yourself in a very, very powerful way, it get registered with people. Sometimes they may not remember the name, but they will always remember the value you can deliver, particularly whenever they get in a situation, they will figure out who was the person they met in a one networking event who talked about that value, and they in such a powerful way that it's stuck with that recipient, right? So it's your brand. So how you really interact and how you deliver your brand in a first interaction, it's all about your introduction. Precise, 30-second, talk about the value you can bring to the table, not the list what you have done in the past. Sometimes organization name works, sometimes organization name not be required, but it's all depend on your emotional intelligence. We will be talking about the emotional intelligence at some point of time here. Okay, great. Any question, any burning question before we move to the next exercise?
Sajid, I've flagged a question by Osama Kokar. I'm looking at other questions if you can pick up these.
Yeah, if you can raise that question, it would be easier. It's so
It is
small, it's
flagged.
difficult for me to read. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me use the flag as a one. Okay, let me use flag. And you are talking about question from
Osama Kokar is talking about multiple qualifications.
Osama Cook. I've seen people asking multiple degrees or even certification for a job, and a few organizations prefer people who have multiple things in hand. This is based on my research over LinkedIn and MetHR. Osama, there's a different concept. So let's say, let me use a one terminology. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the metric inter, or let's use the O level. I think that's common across the many countries. So if I tell you that I have done O level in a 1 year, and then I have done the O level again and O level third time with a different subject, so or more or less the similar subjects, but in a different year with the maths, with the advanced maths and all that. So I'm still talking about the O level. So when we are talking about the multiple qualifications, then there has to be something which complement each other, rather than really replicate the same qualification in a 10 different ways, right? So qualification is an important element, and even sometimes degrees are important. But if the degree is in the same subject again and again from a different provider, that may not add value. That might reflect that you haven't done it right once. You were trying to do the same thing again and again. So there's a one aspect here. The second aspect is there that you are very knowledgeable because you have done a lot of degree in the same discipline. So your knowledge is going to be perfect. So there are two different school of thought, but gradually the people are getting more into or you will find most people with the school of thought where they will be looking for the complement one. For example, if you have done a degree in a professional accounting, how about marketing? How about psychology? How about HR to complement that one? So that's basically complement the skill set rather than keep adding the same thing, like a professional degree from a one body and the other body and the third body. There's a lot of qualification or skill set which may be coming from a certification, like you have I think you mentioned earlier in terms of, or somebody mentioned earlier, like the frauds, and those are the specialization which complement the basic professional accounting and getting into the specialized area like the data analytics or fraud management. So those are the areas which call the specialization. But again, if we say that we are a professional accountant, we have got the masters in the same one, and then I've got a one professional accounting qualification from a national body and an international body and from a different countries. Unless until that reflect the statutory rights, I think it's just a duplication. And the school of thought which reflect that, why you are not making effort on a complementary qualification or skill set, why you are keep doing the same, may be a big question mark, unless until it's required for statutory recognition or statutory rights. Does it make
Sajid,
sense?
could I ask a question?
Sure.
How important it is for a person to change this 30-second introduction based on who are you introducing yourself to? So if you're introducing yourself to somebody who's the CEO of a company, as opposed to somebody who's who's a government official, or somebody who's a friend of a friend. So I mean, how important is it to change the content of your introduction according to the person in front of you?
There are two or three components to this question. Number one, are we reading the room, like where we stand right now and what kind of problem we are talking about? Generally, your core has to remain the same. So for example, the fundamental introduction in terms of you are in a professional setting, I'm not talking about the social setting. So we are talking about the professional setting, and we will start with the same, the name, the key qualification, if that's an important element, which is understandable for recipient. So if we start with the list of degrees, that may not be understandable for somebody who's a board member, not from the same profession, or a CEO which is not from the same profession, then they may not be able to really recognize those abbreviations which we might be using. They might require a generalized definition of qualification. But I think the core value, what you are trying to deliver and what you want the other person to know about, is the important element. You can't change that core value. I can't come up with that if I'm somebody who is a who help organization to really optimize the cost and deliver exponential growth. Then it will always remain the same. So, but if I'm talking to, and now it's a board level and the CEO and the CFO level, but now I'm talking to somebody in a professional setting who is an accounts payable supervisor or accounts payable manager. So now I can get into the more details because the person will be keen to understand that how I do it. So rather than what and why, the person may be more interested how I do it because they will be interested in the ideas which they can implement by themselves. The CEO, board member, and CFO may not be interested in really delivering it. They may be interested to bring you on board to do it. But accounts payable manager or somebody working in accounts payable, and you are talking about the cost optimization or a value delivery or exponential growth, they will ask the second question and then you have to get into details. So you should be ready with those details. Not necessarily people will ask for it, but definitely the level you are talking about, the level of interest of the person, you should have the entire story. You can't just go with the opening sentence and not have the rest of the story. So the entire storyline is important because that's substantiate your brand. If you ask me that I should change it if it's I'm talking to a government officer versus board member versus CEO versus CFO, I would say no. Significantly, it will remain the same. But the level of details which they might ask you as a subsequent question may differ a little bit. If you are talking to accounts payable manager, the level of detail may be too much. If you are talking to a CFO or a C-suite person, then the level of detail may be a little less, but good enough to really give them a visibility that how you do it. So it's a question of what, why, and the how part is different for the different level where the people are from their career progression or their level of interest. Does it give answer what you were looking for, Arun?
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question before we move on? Arun, if you can just see that if there's any burning question, otherwise we will go to the second part. I think I can see this couple of hands which are still raised. If you want to speak, I think Homa, Akbar, Masood, Naeem, and Umar, anything which you want to speak? Okay, great. Thanks. Anybody remember one thing which I started in the orientation? The first thing I requested you a weird thing to do if you really want to make change in your life. Anybody remember that?
I think Usman Qureshi's picked it up, or most of them have picked it up.
Love yourself. I think that's the most important. You will never make an effort to change yourself unless until you really love yourself. And then I think I love that. I think Yusra Ayaz used that word, is the self-love and affirmation. Affirmation is a key word there. You have to really, Umar Mujahid has some questions. So Umar, just keep raise your hand so we will just get to that one. So I think loving yourself is an important one, regardless whoever you are. That's the first step. Where we have to start making a change. If you love yourself, then you will start making a change and progression. If you don't love yourself, if you are in a state of mind where you curse yourself, I would surprise if somebody does that. You will never make an effort because that's a pessimism. You will start with that. So love yourself, that bring a certain optimism, and that optimism really drive us to go to the next level. So let's do quickly, and then we will come to the question, I think, which Mujahid, I think, there's a one
Mujahid has
question.
raised his hand.
Yeah, Omar Mujahid. So let's do a one exercise quickly and really hug yourself, go back, and then you have to be loud enough so you can hear yourself. I love myself. Can you do that for me? Right? I love myself. Guys, thank you very much. And let's there's a question I think Umar raised. So let's get hear about the question. And then we will go with the second exercise, which is how to stay specific, not generalized.
Yes, Umair, you're unmuted now. Umair. I think Umair has lowered his hand, or he has
I
Umair
can't see.
Mujahid. I can still. Oh, he's still there. Okay, I think we can move on then. Must be facing an issue. Yeah, I think.
Okay, give
Yeah.
me 3 words. Umair, just you can type your question as well. Harun will pick it up as soon as we can. Oh,
Yeah,
Umair,
I think Umair is trying, but his audio is not working. Umair, you can type your question in. Yeah, thank you. He's got the message.
thanks, Umair. You are still, your mic is still open, so if you can mute that one, otherwise it will start interfering. Okay, you have to give me 3 words what you want to do in your life. 3 words. Be very specific. Don't give me that I want to deliver value, right? So give me 2, 3 words, 5 words max, that what you want to achieve in your life. Be specific. Not that I want a key role or a bigger role or a smaller role. If you want a role, then you have to really define that I want to become a CFO of Unilever by X year. So this is when we talk about the specific conversation. So give me what you really want to do in your life. Happy, achievable, want to be happy, whatever I do. No, be specific, purposeful life, define the purpose. Guys, a good daughter, sister, and human being. Nope. You have to be specific. You have to define that behavior which means good. Long-term financial stability, become a CFO. I gave you that example. Don't tell me you want to become a CFO unless until you put that CFO X organization by Y year. Head of internal audit in MNC in next 5 years. So that's very good, Hafiz Ali Bilal. If you can just replace that MNC with a one organization name, they could be a list of 5. But I want to become Excel specialist by end of 22. Very specific, great. First deserve, then desire, Sayyid Hussain Ali Shah. Rich, travel, whale gazing, earn Harley Davidson, great, specific, but start putting the year as well, the time. Open a brokerage house, Ali Tadbir, very specific, but by when, in which country, that would be great as well. I want to become financial controller in DHL Pakistan in next 5 years. Vakas Asghar, very specific, great. Open an audit firm in 5 years, great. Abdul Basit next 5 years. Learn Python basic in year 22, great. Become, I think it's a partner, become partner of an audit firm. By when? You know, as soon as you put the timelines to it, it changes the perspective. It's very easy for me to become, to claim that I want to become a very successful businessman, and that's it. So that's a wishful thinking. I can't become a businessman unless until I go, I want to get into maybe fintech business by 2022. And what does it mean? So then I have to really lead to the next question. So as soon as you become specific, that start creating stress for you. Can you feel that stress? When you put the timelines and you go in a specific conversation, it starts creating a certain level of stress. Entrepreneur, guys, Schwab Sheikh. I think it's entrepreneur is not the key word. Entrepreneurship is definitely a one way, but which business? The more specific you go, the more stress it will generate to create a plan to achieve it. So the more generalized we keep, we are just creating a wishful thinking and not a plan. The Ijaz Sen is right. It's stress because how to achieve, right? So if you can figure out what you want to do it and why you want to do it, and very specifically you say what you want and why you want, you always figure out the how part. Our significant dilemma is not that what we want to achieve, is that how we think. There are two things you have to understand. Success by stress, I guess, Usman Qureshi, thank you for that. Uh, normally we have got certain dilemmas. Harun, have you got a question from Umair Mujahid?
No, Sujit, I think he just made a comment that I note picked up. He's just written that he wants to become an entrepreneur and wants to quit his job. So just
That's
this
fine.
one
I think
comment that he's made.
I think a lot of people, and based on our previous experiences as well from session 1 and 2, there are a lot of people who went for their, and we will be doing certain exercises, by the way, on entrepreneurship, and we will try to create a group out of that. In a previous session, there are a few people who created a team out of this group, and they started their own business. But just coming back to the fundamental things in certain social dilemmas which we have witnessed, particularly with the young generation. There are two components which we have to really work out well, and we have to make sure we learn it well. It's number one is how to think, and number two, how to breathe. If our thought process is very superficial and very constraint driven, that's mean we will start missing out on opportunities. And if our breathing pattern is not right, that's mean at some point of time we will end up with the health issues. You need a certain level of oxygen in you, and there is a certain way to breathe. And most of the people, unfortunately, we are not trained enough to really understand how to breathe. I think Harun will be doing some of the exercises from yoga, that how to breathe. And then there's a pattern that how to think. How part come later, what and why is the starting point. If you will start thinking about the how, that will create a constraint for you, because you don't know what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve. Why is your emotional connection and the passion which really drive what you are trying to achieve. And once you are driven, then you always figure out the how part. How part is a difficult part, unless until you are driven that what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve. There will be 10 different options how you can achieve it, but you will start thinking about the option only if you are committed to your what and why. If you are not committed to your what and why, most of the time it's very difficult to really figure out the why, how part. I'm sure out of you, a lot of people who want to really go to gym, they might have subscribed to the gym, but they are unable to go to gym because their what and why is not figured out, but they only figure out the how part. So you keep paying subscription and you keep missing out on going to gym and exercising or putting the level of effort which it might require. There are a lot of people who are talking about entrepreneurship or their own business. There's a one question: are we going to have any fintech topics? Yes, we are going to talk about the technology and fintech, and not only the fintech, also the commerce side of it a lot. And we will be looking at there are certification on ACCA, but they are very costly. We will be running certain trainings under the CPD on fintech. Historically, we have already ran some of the fintech trainings, and we will keep doing that. And those are free of cost. What we do here. There are few trainings which are expensive, maybe if you are converting from a pound to a different currency, but those are also very effective. And there are trainings which are available on Coursera and the YouTube as well. So I think from a learning perspective, there is no restriction. It's you can use any open platform to really learn what the fintech means. Now we have this meeting in my gym time. Okay, Muhammad Assam. So just going back to the fundamental, the specific, what you want to do in your life. And if you start thinking from a what and why perspective, and then you will have like 10 different options how you are going to achieve that. So the way you think has a direct implication how you are going to achieve. If you are not specific enough, believe me, it's a wishful thinking. There is no plan and there is no effort going there. So one small change you're going to make in your everyday life is going to lead you to achieve that, provided you are very clear what and why you want to achieve it, and then you figure out there are 10 different pathways, so you will try one. If it fails, you will go to the other one. Rather than going back and changing your what and why, you will just keep changing your how part, and you will get there because your plan is going to work. And because you are specific, so that's mean there's a certain level of commitment you are bringing to the table. I think Ijaz said came back starting my own business of plastic item in 2025. Great, very specific, but Ijaz, you have to think twice around the climate action. And if you're talking about plastic, so what does it mean? It's a reusable, how it's going to help the environment side of it, or whether it's going to create value or destroy value. So I think you have to really understand that where the world is. Want to become a CFO of oil marketing company, as very specific. If you can put a timelines there, that will force you to start thinking what does it mean and how you have to really cover the gap if there are any. Okay, any burning question before we move on? Mohammed Bayman has raised a question, raised hand. Harun, if we can unmute Mohammed.
सजीद उमेर का क्वेश्चन मैंने हाईलाइट किया हुआ है, फ्लैग किया हुआ है, आप उसको देख लें. मैं मेमन म्यूट कर देता हूँ.
Okay, let me figure out. Can you read that question for me?
Read the question for you. I can read the question for you. It says
times that we should change our CV as per the job role we are applying. Please elaborate this concept. This is the question.
Sajid, this is the one he asked.
So, yeah, Umair, you have to really change that one a little bit. That's very, very true. You have got a journal skill level. There are a couple of skills you might have acquired and you would like to highlight, where the job requirement might force you to think and highlight the skills you have not highlighted in your CV. So it's always good to look at the JD and look at the role and see whether your CV is picking up those keywords which that job role requires. There are two reasons for it. There's normally it's 15 to 20 seconds where one CV is scanned if somebody is doing physically. And most of the time, it's a system which is going through that CV. So it's an automatic reading and shortlisting process. And if you don't have those keywords which are matching with that role, it's high probability that your CV will not be shortlisted. So it's important to customize your CV to have those keywords which the employer is looking, even when they are talking, when they are doing a physical scanning or if they are doing a digital scanning. So that's why it's important to really change your CV to reflect those key skill set and capabilities which role may require, just from a shortlisting perspective. And definitely a person have got so many qualities, most of the time we cannot reflect everything on the CV. So it's also important to review the role and see that what qualities you are drawing on an everyday basis and what additional things which you have learned but you haven't highlighted. So that's why it's helped always to really review the CV based on the different roles from a shortlisting perspective and highlighting something which is important. So I hope that gives you the answer why we need to really go through that.
Sajid, Mohammed Maiman has been unmuted and Arif al-Islam has also raised hand, and I'm going to unmute him as well.
So we have got 6 minutes and then we will go to the self-awareness session. I think, yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the floor again. My question is very specific. Obviously, no job is a perfect match to my CV. As you understand, we always have to adjust based on the requirement. But the thing is, basically, obviously, all of us use LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, we have got, a CV which is basically visible to everybody. And a lot of time, obviously, there's employers could be checking those LinkedIn as well. So do you suggest if we apply for a job or when we get selected for the shortlisting, we should modify the CV in LinkedIn?
There are a couple of things. Number one, Arif, most of the time LinkedIn, you highlight the organization you work with and the role you perform there. It does not have the details of your achievement while you were doing that, right? And the further description and details. There's a second part which on a LinkedIn you can have a skill sets, that what skill set you are you have acquired, and there could be a lot of endorsement you can get from your own circle. So that's an important one. There are a couple of things when you are looking and applying for a job. Definitely, you have to highlight the relevant skill set. Let's say if you are in the ACCA, there are 9 expertise you have developed. There are few expertise you have deployed on an everyday basis in the roles you are doing. It may not be all 9, maybe 3 or 4. And then there's a certain capabilities which are 6, and you might be using 1 or 2 capabilities on an everyday basis. So it's a human nature, when you are doing something for the last 2-3 years, you just try to really highlight those rather than creating a relevance between what you have acquired as a experience and knowledge more comprehensively versus what you have put in the CV. So I think that's where you have to really highlight that one. And when you are placing your CV, your not the LinkedIn CV, but the CV properly you have structured for the different jobs. And it's LinkedIn always provide you that opportunity to highlight those things. Then the other part is the behavior, something which is not reflected on LinkedIn very significantly. So sometimes some jobs require you to really demonstrate a certain kind of behavior. So you have to prepare for those examples for interviews at the same time. So that's mean when you are applying for a job and you are preparing for that interview, you have to go back and review your life and achievements and try to reflect that in the role which you are applying for. And for example, just giving you an example, if there's a very fresh graduate just completed the exam, they have already an experience of 20-25 years of living a life. They have played football, they have played some games, they have interacted with the friends. So there are certain skills they have developed which they might not be aware of, or they might not be able to reflect it properly. So normally my advice to fresh graduate is that, can you put the conflict management as one of a skill set if you are the one who really try to help friends resolve the conflict? That's one of the expertise you have developed otherwise. So that's one of a behavior. It's not necessarily something as an acquired skill based on a degree. So I think these are the things which need to be highlighted. If your goal is something which help you to negotiate cross-functional, then the conflict resolution is one of the important skill. But if you are working as a specialist, that may not be a required skills to be highlighted. So you are right, people will go, your recruiter will always go and track your digital footprint. So your digital footprint should be able to corroborate with the CVs and the expertise you have claimed significantly. It can't be 100%. So you have to help recruiter to understand you better, to really reflect those skill sets and behavior which are relevant to those roles, rather than you force them to read everything and then figure out by themselves. So help them to understand you better for the shortlisting purposes.
Thank you, Sajid. Very helpful.
Thank you, Aaron. G. Harun, do we have anything else?
No, I think that's it. No more questions, so we can proceed to the next agenda point.
Okay, so Muzammil Hussain has got a very interesting question. As a professional accountant, okay, I think it was referring to soft skills are necessary to attract employers along with other skills. And Muzammil, it's sorry, Nazmul, Muhammad Nazmul. It brings us to the next exercise, which is all around looking at your and rating your capabilities and expertise. So just to segregate, what does it mean? Your expertise are your technical skills and your capabilities are your soft skills. And if we are looking at ACCA navigator or career navigator, I think that helps you to really understand what capabilities we need to develop as a ACCA member, and at the same time what expertise we have to choose from. Not necessarily all expertise, but we have to choose that what expertise we want to really become expert. So Harun, over to you if we can run that one. And that's a very interesting area where you have to rate yourself, and that's your self-awareness, and then all these capabilities and the expertise will have certain sessions going forward. But right now, the question is more around rating and understanding where the people are really good as a group and where we need more focus around it.
Yeah. And in the meanwhile, Sajid, Uzair Siddiqui has asked a question. It's a burning question because posting it multiple times. So if you can pick up on that, and I'll start
It
the poll
says,
questions.
you said, should we go for different degree and set of skills apart from gathering the same title? But mostly we have seen the job advertisement specifically ask for those certification. It would like jack of all trade and master of none. Was that when you grow in your organization or grow in your role, like if when you will get to my age in the next 50 years, so you will be more in a management side of it. And in a management side, you don't need to be expert in a one area. You need to be really understand the different facet of the management. So for example, you need to understand the professional accounting, definitely not at expert level, but reasonable level at my level. If you are at an early stage or in a mid career, you need to be expert in that. But at my level, you might need to be more good with the people management, where you can develop teams and then how you really understand the diversity and inclusion as a one of a key agenda and how you will drive that. So you might need a certain certification in a people manager role or as a diversity and an inclusion side of it. So it's a complementary skill. So you have got expertise in a professional accounting, but you are very good in terms of the people management. So you can build the team and manage the team. You might have to build a certain expertise how to run the exponential growth in terms of the business. So your core expertise is still a professional accounting. Now you know the people management, and now you know a little bit around the exponential growth strategies as well. So I think these are the things you have to really keep building over the period. But if I keep doing that, I do ACCA and then I do a national body one, and I keep doing the professional accounting every 10 years from a different areas, I'm not doing a favor to myself, because at a management level, there are additional skills which might be required. Data analytics might be one of them. So you really have to see that how you really develop the complementary skill, the way you grow. So it's not looking for a jack of all trade. It's basically the role from the experts to the manager to the C-suite. It's required a different kind of expertise in a different areas, right? So if you will look at a post of the CEO or a board member, they will be saying the financial expert, and then there will be a list of other things like the person who can drive diversity agenda in the organization, the person who can help to really build or review the strategy side of it, somebody who is good with the people management and the team building. So I think these are the additional things which I'm talking about. So not necessarily from a professional accounting or a professional accounting as a profession to a marketing as a profession. I think that's a big swing. Some people might love it, but that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about the complementary skills on top of it, and that will grow with your level. So the more you grow in your organization or in your life, the different kind of expertise you might need to develop, and sometimes it's good to go for a very specific exams and the qualification. I'm doing a certain qualification these days on ESG investing, right? So they are, but whether you will need it right now, maybe not. But when you will be at my age and my level, whether it will be relevant, maybe. So it's not the professional accounting, it's more on a ESG. So these are the choices you have to keep making, how you do your personal development side of it. And that's important. You have to do the personal development, but doing a personal development in the same area again and again, whether it will add value, maybe, maybe not. So does it answer your question or give you the perspective? I'm sure it can't answer everything. Asif Mahmood said, being a ACC member, how can we add value to the field like compliance? Compliance is a core expertise, man. That's where you uphold the trust. So professional accounting is all about the upholding public trust, and compliance is a key component to it. So as a professional accountant, you always know how to really evaluate the compliance. Like even if you are looking at the audit or if you're looking at the financial accounting, actually you are looking at the compliance, and that's how you create the disclosure or a QE there. Harun, over to you. I think it's a time to go through a certain self-awareness, guys. Integrity is a primary value here, right? So integrity is a primary value while you are doing your self-assessment. It will help us and you both to really shape these 6-digit session, that which area we should focus more for this specific group, right? So if we come out that there are certain skills which are already at a very high standard, then we don't have to focus on those. We have to focus on the one which may come out as a one of a key concern for the group. So it's that's why I said initially it's not a fixed agenda. You are going to define the agenda, and the self-assessment is a one of a key area which helps.
Okay, so now what we are going to do is run a series.
Saida Asif is saying that A. Rahman hand is raised for a long while. So can we just unmute A. Rahman? I can't see that, by the way.
Neither can I.
Can you, Harun?
No.
I can see Tamila Hassan.
Yes, Tamila Hassan, I can, all right. Unmuting her. Yes, Tamila, you're unmuted. Tamila, you can speak. I can see you've unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you. Tamila, please check your microphone. We can't hear you. Yeah, and Abdul Rahman has gone offline. Probably internet connectivity issue. Mir Zulfikar has raised his hand in the meanwhile. Sajid, if you'd want to take his question. Tamila, you can, if your microphone is an issue, please type your question. Unfortunately, I think there's an issue with your microphone. All right, so Tamila says she's posted the question. Let's see if we can see her question. Okay, so Tamila's question was, sir, please guide us as in a full-time job. How can we achieve our CPD goals even though ACCA approved employers have no schedule, nor they are ready to spend on FCCA or ACCA, nor they provide training opportunities where we can excel in our existing roles? Sajid, you want to take this question?
Harun, I'll leave it to you. But just to pick up that, for me, the biggest answer, or normal answer, is that in a day there are 24 hours. So, and in a week there are, if you multiply the number of hours into weeks, so you can see that what are the number of hours and how you are putting it on a best use. Definitely, everybody may not have this luxury where the employer or their current work environment really help them to do CPD. We might have to plan our days and the weeks and the months in a way we can expect certain time for CPD, but it's an important element to stay relevant and stay ahead of the curve. So if you start compromising on that in a 2-3 years, your role and your skill set may not be relevant, or your language may not be relevant or aligned with what's happening in around you. So staying relevant, it's very important that your language and your concept and the perspective and the principles and the framework you are talking about have to be very, very relevant for that day and age. So yeah, it may be a little difficult, but it's worth making that effort, that you take out 2 hours a week to put that effort in learning. And it could be watching a documentary, it could be a very structured CPD course, it would be something like you have taken out time right now for the 6 digits. All these things add value. But personal development is a one primary obligation for every individual to stay relevant.
And at the same time, I think it's, Sajid, you've almost touched upon it, but it's the individual's own responsibility. Not, you can't place that responsibility on your organization or your employer to take care of all your development needs. It's you primarily who have to set an objective, who has to see where you're heading. And in fact, if you look at the career navigator, it exactly provides you that. So Sajid, when he asked that question of what do you want to become in 5 years time, if you've set that goal and then go to Career Navigator and see what trainings are necessary for such a role, the Career Navigator is going to advise you to take those trainings, and it's going to provide them. I mean, some of them will be free of cost, some of them will be charged, but at the same time, over here in the region or in Pakistan, we're also going to provide some of those opportunities for you. So I think that's primarily, I mean, I would say, Tamila, the answer to that question is that your professional development is in your own hands. Um, unless you're so convincing that you go back to your organization time and again and convince them of what value will you be able to add further to your role, based on which they should send you to a training or invest further in you. Unless you've done that, I think that organizations normally would not be very supportive of or keen on investing in individuals just for the word, just for supporting members or employers. So I think answered that question in good detail. Sajid, would you want to take up a question from another audio question, or shall we go on to the
I think
capabilities
let's
and
go to
skills?
the go to the self-awareness, and Mir Zulfikar, if you can type your question, we will pick up that.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have 16 questions to answer. It's going to be a very, very quick process. First of all, we'll talk about core skills. And just like Sajid differentiated between these skills and the expertise. So we're going to talk about the core skills first, and there are 7 of them. And the remaining are the expertise that are available. And um, you'll have to park yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 for each of these skills, and then for each of these expertise. I have provided a very short definition of what the term or the particular specific skill that you are rating yourself on. I've provided a very brief definition, but for a detailed definition, you can open up the website careernavigator.accaglobal.com, and you can explore the definitions further over there. So what we'll do is I'll put up a poll question on the screen. We'll try to leave it there for 15 to 20 seconds. I would appreciate if you very quickly rate yourself, and then we'll move on to the next question. That way we'll be able to finish this exercise in about 4-5 minutes. Otherwise it'll take longer. But just as we have done one question, I'll show the results to you as well, so that you have a general idea of where have you placed yourself, as opposed to what others think about their area of expertise, or how have they rated themselves. So coming on your screen, the first core skill is collaboration. So you should be able to see the question on your screen. You have a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Please submit your queries. I'm giving you 10 more seconds, after which I'll share the poll with you. Please try, as many people should try to answer the question as possible. And you have to be fast fingers also. Okay, people still answering. 61%. Please be a little quick, otherwise it'll take us very long. Okay, I think we spent 45 seconds on this. I'm going to stop here and share the results. Sajid, you should be able to see the results as well. So most of the people have marked themselves on number 4. Second most number is number 3. There are about 13% who feel that they are an expert when it comes to collaboration. So that was our first one. Sajid, you're able to see the outcome as well, are you?
Yeah, I can, and frankly, I'm surprised at this stage. So most of the people have a very high opinion for themselves. Collaboration is the most difficult thing in the world, by the way. So most of the people, if we see that 91% people see it as a quite a high level in terms of their expertise. Zulfikar, we will come back to you after this one.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. And this one is insights. How do you think and operate on an individual level? That's what defines insights. So it's up on your screen now. Please be very quick in answering. Hurry up, hurry up. It's 30 seconds already. Quick, quick, quick. Thank you. Insights. Okay, once again, 45 seconds and stop. I'm going to share the results. So Sujit, once again, 46% think they're on 3, 41% think they're on 4, 9% think they are on 5, and overall 96% think that they are on the higher side of insights. Okay, again to be discussed. Let's move on to the third one, and this one is about the core skill drive, drive as in passion, which is your attitude and your motivation. So it's coming up on your screen now. Scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Please don't take it the other way. Drive. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 seconds only. This time we're going to cut it off on 30 seconds. And here we go. So this time again, we have 28% think who are on the maximum side of their rating. 31% think on 4, 24% think they are on 3, 14% think they are on 2, and 3% on 1, which means roughly about, I mean, the majority would say is 17%. So 83% feel they are on the higher side. Thank you very much. Next up is core skill ethics, which is acting in accordance with professional and personal ethical behavior. Ethics. Coming up on your screen now. 30 seconds for this, please. Okay, about 5 seconds, and we're closing. Very interesting. This time around, there were more than 87%. I mean, in fact, 87% thought they were either 4 or 5. There are, however, 2% who think they are on the lower side as well. They've marked 2% on 1 and 2% on level 2. But I think the average is skewed towards the higher side. Thank you very much. The next one is core skill expertise, which is the functional responsibility of your role. Expertise. Coming up on your screen now. Expertise, the functional skill of your role. the functional responsibilities of your role. 5 seconds. And here we go. All right. Again, tilted towards the positive side. People are mostly rating themselves 3 or above. Very few people rating themselves at 1 or 2. Thank you very much. Now we are moving on to core skill digital. This is the second last core skill that we're talking about. The definition of digital is, let me explain it again. The proficient ethical use of data technologies, capabilities, and strategies. So interestingly, there's a word ethical in there as well. However, it's mainly talking about digital technologies, capabilities, and strategies. Coming up on your screen. I'm sorry. Oh, all right. I didn't get enough chance to do this one. Sorry, I by mistake pressed the close button. I am afraid we'll have to go on to the next one. And this one is sustainability, which is create, protect, and communicate value for the organization, environment, and society. We'll go back to digital once again afterwards. Up on your screen now, sustainability. Okay, 5 more seconds. Here we go. And all right, the answer is somewhat usual again. People ranking themselves on 3 or 4, and about 13% even on 5. All right, moving on. Now we're talking about expertise. This one is expertise in advisory and consultancy, i.e., insight into both internal and external clients' organizational issues. I'll repeat, your insights into both internal and external clients' organizational issues, which is known as advisory and consultancy. It's coming up on your screen now. 30 seconds. Advisory and consultancy. Five more seconds. And here we go. Showing the results to you. This one was slightly more, again, slightly skewed, but I think generally the population is in the middle. Moving on. Now we're going to talk about your expertise level in audit and assurance, which is evaluating information systems and internal controls to meet the objectives of audit. So coming up on your screen now, audit and assurance. Five more seconds, please. And here we go. So this time again, skewed to the positive, 38% think they're on 4, 27% think they are on level 5. Interesting. Sajid, I'm sure you're going to talk more about these capabilities and expertise, and maybe address why people think they're so much into the positive side.
Yeah, no, we will definitely. And not only we will talk about it, there will be certain areas where we have to develop and discuss it, the practical application of these.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The key
Okay, all
term what
right.
we
So
use, what the good look like type stuff.
exactly what goods look like. Okay, the next one is financial business reporting, which is preparing and communicating high quality business reports for stakeholders and decision makers. Coming up on your screen now. Financial and business reporting. Five seconds. And here we go. Okay, this is interesting. Results on your screen now. 38% feel that they are on number 4. This time only 10% feel that they're number 5. Okay, let's move on. Financial management. And this one talks about implements effective investment financing decisions within the business environment. Okay, financial management coming up on your screen now. Remember, these are areas of expertise, and if you want to look at the detailed definition of these areas of expertise, you can go to the website careernavigator.accglobal.com. 10 seconds. And stopping now. All right. Interestingly, this one is a little towards the lower end. So, Sajid, interesting trend. Financial management is more towards the weaker side. However, still about 25, 30, 30, about 70 to 80% people are sitting right in the middle. All right, so next up, we have performance management, which is explained as delivers financial information, tools, analysis, and insight across the organization. Performance management comes up on your screen now. Performance management. People, it's very important that you be honest in this, because this is going to give us the direction that we need for the 6 digits program. It's important that we pick up our or rate our expertise accordingly. 5 seconds, please. And here we go. Sharing the results. All right, this is very, very balanced. So 9% on number 1 and 10% on number 5. Quite balanced. Performance management. Now we're talking about risk management. Comes up on your screen now. Risk management. 30 seconds for this. Ten more seconds. and closing. Sharing the results. Again, this is one area of expertise which is on the lower side. Only 5% have marked themselves on 5, about 16% have marked themselves on number 1. So Sajid, risk management is coming up as an area. Next is taxation. Very important, as we discussed this in the beginning. Taxation. Familiarity with the local tax laws, um, tax planning, budgeting, exercising controls around taxation. All right, 10 seconds to go. And stopping now. So this is very interesting. This is entirely the opposite of what we've been seeing in the past. The past expertise, taxation, people feel needs a lot of attention. The next is digital. And remember, this time we're talking about expertise, expert areas, digital. Once again, launching on your screens. Now, 30 seconds. Previously, we were talking about digital as a core skill. Now we're talking about digital as your expertise. Okay, 10 seconds more. Stopping now. Again, digital is an area where people think they require more development. Okay. And last but not the least, expertise in sustainability. Again, as an expertise. Okay, 10 more seconds. And we are stopping. Okay, and now sharing the results with you. Once again, this is an area where people think that they need more hand holding and support. So Sajid, that gives us a good spectrum. And by the way, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we have recorded these questions, answers to these questions, and this will be very, very important in guiding us of where do we want to take you people to the how to take you people to the next level, in these specific skills, core skills, and expertise. So over to you, Sajid. I'm hiding the results.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the one thing which I'll invite everybody to really look at the careernavigator.accaglobal.com. I think there are a lot of resources and the linkages which are available there that will help us throughout that 6-digit program to really keep referring back to those resources, expertise, performance objective, capabilities, expertise side of it. So I think that's one of our go-to area where the most of the resources are sitting, and how we will complement those resources and the reference points which we know. So we will be topping up that off and on. The one thing which I would like, I think we are just running out of time, just on a clear side, and I'll hand over to you, Harun, in a minute or so. So the one thing which I would like you to do is, number one, keep doing your exercise every day. I love myself. That's an important one. So every morning when you wake up, just try to do that. It may feel weird initially, but you will see the impact when you keep hugging and loving yourself, how it will drive you to make the changes in your life. Number two, try to make an effort and create your introduction in 30 seconds. And please be very careful that it's not about how quickly you talk, it's about the effective communication. So You have to talk about your name, your qualification, the value you can bring to the table, and if there is still a time, you can really go with the to substantiate that through the number of years of experience and the organization you have worked in past. But in the 30 seconds, it's very difficult to stay in an effective communication role and then add so much text to it. So it has to be effective. So the first area is to emotionally intelligent and really uh, trigger the interest to ask more rather than providing all the possible information you can. So it's about creating that interest or generating that interest so the people can ask question and come back to you. Number two, be specific. Start trying to challenge yourself where you are not specific, where you talk about generalized term. As a professional accountant, the one thing which we have to be very clear that we have to be very objective and independent while building our opinion. So objectivity means that you have to be very specific. You cannot generalize item, and it has to be very independent. So you can't make your opinion based on somebody else's opinion. So you have to collect that information, objectively analyze it, and specifically build that opinion that what exactly you want to say. And it start with a very simple exercise, what exactly you want to do in your life. So when you start with that you want to become a CFO for Unilever in 3 years, that will create the level of stress that you have to plan. So how you will approach people, how they will get to know about you, what are the qualities, capabilities, and expertise you might need, what network you need to really access that kind of position, who you need to talk to influence that, how the information flow will work. So I think then it will bring to a lot of how-to questions once you are specific, and that's what we call a plan. And that's create a right kind of stress to plan. Otherwise, it's just a wishful thinking. If you don't go specific, I want to really grow in my role, does not have any specific information. It will not stress you to really create a plan which you can follow and reach there. If you figure out what and why, there are 10 different options for how you can try all that as and when required basis. Don't start with how, start with what and why. Everything is what you can imagine is achievable, but first you have to really imagine it. You have to be bold enough to imagine that. Third area which we discussed are the core capabilities, which we were talking about, careernavigator.accglobal.com. So look at that, and there are capabilities which are very relevant and based on the client and the employer's feedback. Those are the capabilities and the expertise which organizations are looking at. And it's also linked very well with your exams, your performance objective, and even up to the unit level, what you need to read. We have got a certain rating available with us that would be guiding us, and we will be challenging people as well, where we say that we have got, as a group, we have got a very high expertise. We are going to put some challenging question and evaluate that whether it's real thing or it's the again it's your personal opinion, or it can be substantiated with a couple of exercises and tests going forward. So thank you very much for joining today. It's going to be, these are the long sessions, but it will force you to participate more and more. More you participate, more you interact, the more you learn, more we learn together, and we can shape up in a way that it can add maximum value for you. Over to you, Harun. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, and I must appreciate Sajid because he was traveling. He had joined us from Karachi and delivered this session from the hotel. So thank you very much, Sajid. Coming to the close of the session, I'm just going to explain once again the structure in which we're going to deliver these sessions. First of all, before we close the session and while I'm talking, and if you can see my screen, if I'm able to share the screen to you, there are 3 handouts that we have uploaded.
Sorry,
These
Harun.
handouts
Harun. Sorry. Mir Zulfikar has still raised the hand, and we talked to him that we will be unmute him. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to unmute him. And yes, Mir Zulfikar, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Sajid, for giving me the opportunity. Actually, there is a one common question. I guess others will also benefit that in the interviews, the interviewer usually asks that why do you want to change your job? See, and linked to this, if someone has some you can say a long standing on one position, and it has not he or she has not been promoted, and not because of his personal fault, maybe because of the organization or something on the organization part. How can we reply to this question without being negative about our current employer? I guess
Uh,
this is the most difficult thing we face in the interviews.
uh, I wouldn't say it's the most difficult, but yeah, this is a very relevant question. I'll not answer that right now, and we will park it for the one of a session where we'll invite everybody to comment on that. There are different people who have got a different perspective on it. So I'll not use my perspective right now, but Zulfikar, that we will take it as a one of an exercise. And thank you for bringing it up. So Harun, if we can take that question, that how we are
Yeah.
going to answer during the interview. If somebody asks why we need to change the job, there could be multiple scenario. One scenario could be where the person is on the same job for a long time. There could be a scenario where the person being promoted a couple of time and they still want to change the job. So what are the key reasons people can talk about it without getting into the negative zone? Does it comprehend your question, Zulfikar?
Yes, Sajid. Thanks.
Let's use it
Thanks
as
for
a one of
taking
the
the note.
exercise and get
Sure,
everybody's
sure.
view there. And guys, just treat it as a one of a homework. In a 1 or 2 sessions, we will bring it back. And it's
Okay,
not only
thanks.
this question. There will be more questions that how to handle interview. There will be certain sessions around CV writing and the interview skill. But I think thank you, Zulfikar. That's a
Okay,
very relevant question and a very journal
okay.
question.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zulfikar. I must highlight here that we have a few sessions where we'll bring in HR experts, industry leaders, and hear their perspective about difficult questions. Uh, so another similar difficult question is define some of your weaknesses. So there are quite a few such trick questions which are meant to puzzle you in your interview. But as I'd explained in the orientation session, we are going to talk about CV writing. We are going to talk about interview skills. We are going to do role plays on that, and we're going to then invite industry leaders or industry speakers or guest speakers to come in and talk about it. In the meanwhile, Ariful Islam has written a comment for you, Mir Zulfikar. I think you should be able to read that from my screen, and that will be useful as well. Okay, so going back to our routine for session deliveries. So today was the first kickoff session, the first session. The second session is going to be Tuesday. All of you who have signed up the GoToWebinar sessions, you are signed up for the entire series. You don't need to sign up again, and I'm sure that will be a relief. So you are signed up for all the sessions. 1 hour before every session, you will receive a reminder automatically from the system that the webinar is going to begin in 1 hour. And then exactly at the time when the webinar is to begin, you'll receive another quick reminder that the webinar has started. So I think that will help you. Number two, 1 hour after the close of this session. So if it is 8:05, or in Bangladesh it'll be 9:05, or in Sri Lanka it'll be 8:30. Exactly 1 hour after that, you will receive an email which will thank you for attending the session, and there will be a recording link available. At the same time, we are compiling a complete list of these recordings, and they will be available to you afterwards. Sorry, my apologies, not Tuesday, it's Wednesdays. Musa, thank you very much. So your sessions are going to be on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then on Friday you're going to have your unmoderated session. So if you look at my invitation email that I had sent to you yesterday and today in the morning, there are links available for moderated sessions, which are Mondays and Wednesdays. And there's a link available for the unmoderated session, which will be run on Microsoft Teams. So all those people who have marked themselves at number 5 in certain skills, core skills, or number 5 in areas of expertise, I'll appreciate if all of you get an opportunity to become a leader of the unmoderated session and run the session as instructed or as explained to you. So I think with that we've come to the end of today's session. Today was just the beginning. Very interesting session, very important session. 3 or 4 very important things explained by Sajid, and hopefully we meet next time with more interesting and relevant content. Thank you very much for being a very interactive audience. And let me show the dashboard to you. Okay, 123 hand raises, 423 questions and comments, and the level of attentiveness was about 76%, right? We've touched roughly about 275 as an audience. I think that's a very impressive number. Thank you very much for being a very active audience. You loved the session, and let's keep it that way. Let's keep it as interactive as it was today. Okay, sorry, I was about to say something about the handouts. Sorry, I missed that. So there are 3 handouts available, and they are: number 1, ACCA Career Navigator, the final document, the final research report. Very interesting report. You should be able to download that. Number 3 then is Professional Insights on Generation Z, Groundbreakers. Again, something very interesting about Gen Z and what their work preferences are like, and how should employers keep them, keep them interested, or keep them occupied, or sort of get the best out of them. And the third document is actually the slide deck, which we shared with you on the orientation, on the day of the orientation. So a consolidated slide deck. These 3 are available. I am going to leave the session on for a few minutes. So if you want to download this, please do so now. It'll be easier for you. Otherwise, we'll have to upload them on a Google Doc, and you'll be able to download from there. So I think this brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you very much once again. There are a few questions. I'm going to put myself back on mute. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to download these files, and in the meanwhile, I'm going to answer some of these questions that have been put up now. Thank you so very much, and I'm going on mute now.